hopefully you had time to watch, or you made time because you know school is important, to watch this lesson 20 video today, because you're going to see you're learning some new things. I know yesterday on the Map Accelerator, thank you for those who got on there and watched the video and tried. I talked to some of you because you said, I'm confused, it's hard. It was just, they were hard, probably because it was a very short video and you really didn't get to practice at all. So those methods, the first one was really the reverse of when we took our extended multiplication facts and took the zeros and made it basic. Now they're showing you how to do that with division. And then they also showed, what was the second video about? Does anyone remember? The second part of yesterday. One video was about using the zeros, taking them off in division. What was the other video about? I have a lot of you guys did them. Yeah, Hayden Garland didn't. Tyler didn't. Noah didn't, but I have a lot of you who did. Remember, it's only going to be open for about 2 more days. It was due yesterday. Izzy, what do you remember about the videos? What was the second one regarding? They were drawing rectangles, I believe, and showing you how
using area models to do like division.
Very good. So that was a preview, because today we're going to get into it. So you should have seen some drawings and how to break down the numbers using the area model. And today Miss Gavine's going to go into more detail with that. And there was another, oh wait, not yesterday, but today, there's another method introduced, and it looked like when sometimes in writing, let's say Mrs. Thomas says to you, I want you to brainstorm and write about your favorite summer activities, and you put summer in the middle, and then you branch off and put all kind of things on the outside. What's that called? With a circle and all the other circles. Like a web? You're making like a web when you're writing? Do you remember seeing the web looking thing on the video? Does anyone know what that's called? Hayden, stop playing with your camera. Maybe that's why we're having issues with the computer. Finn, do you remember, honey?
A number bond?
Very good. They're called number bonds. We're a little bit behind Hutchinson, but I'm going to tell you this. My friend, Mrs. Martinelli, that teaches 4th grade at Hutchinson, she said her, because I almost skipped over this, because I feel like, hi, Orlando. I feel like we've been doing a lot of methods, but she said her class loves the number bonds and found it very, very helpful for division. So I'll be interested to see what you guys have to say after you do some practice today. Okay, anyone have any questions before we get started? You guys should be open to page 100. Good number, 100. 100.
Ready. I'm going to share my screen so we can see page 100. We're going to do our must-do problem. All right, can everyone see my page? Give me a thumbs up if you can see my page. Okay, I see some thumbs up. All right. So number 1 says, Alfonso solved the division problem by drawing an area model. So this is the area model that he drew. So letter A is asking us, what division problem did Alfonso solve? So we need to figure out what our dividend is, what our divisor is, and what our quotient, our answer is that he found out using his area model. So, Sophia, what do you think our dividend is? Based
Tyler,
on our
it's super important that you focus right now, okay? Come on, pretend like you're in school, sit down, focus on Miss Gabine and what she's saying, and you should be looking at number 1 in your book as she's speaking.
All right, Sophia, go ahead.
The dividend would be 72 or
Right.
40.
It's going to be 72. And why is it going to be 72, Sophia?
Because 40 plus 32 is 72.
Right. So our dividend is the area of our rectangle. So that he has it partitioned as 40 and 32. So our entire area of our rectangle is 72. We have our 72 and we have our division symbol. So Sophia, what are we going to divide by?
4.
4. Because 4 is the width of our rectangle. And it's the same width for this first rectangle here. And it's the same width for this rectangle here. They look more like squares, but the same for each rectangle. So Sophia, what did Alfonso find as his final answer for 72 divided by 4?
18.
18. Why is it 18, Sophia?
Because 72 divided by 4 is 18.
Right, but from our picture, how could we tell that it was 18?
Oh,
if we
and because 10 and 8 is 18.
Right, so he figured out first 40 divided by 4 is 10, so that was the length of this part of the rectangle. And then he figured out 32 divided by 4 is 8, so that's the length of this part of the rectangle. And then to find the whole part, the whole side length of our rectangle, we can add 10 and 8, and that's 18. That's why we have 72 divided by 4 equals 18. So that's our division problem. All right, so now we can move down to letter B. So in letter B, we're going to use our number bond like Finn mentioned. So this says, show a number bond to represent Alfonso's area model. Start with the total and then show how the total is split into 2 parts. All right, so what is our total that we're going to put at the top? Izzy, what's our total?
72.
72. And what are our 2 parts that we're breaking 72 into?
40 and 32.
Right, 40 and 32. Good job. All right, so next we need to do our division. So Riley, what are we going to divide underneath our 40 here?
40 divided by 4.
Right, we're doing 40 divided by 4. Because if you remember up in our picture here, 40 is the area of this rectangle, and we're dividing by the width of our rectangle to find out the length up here. So we're doing 40 divided by 4. So then Riley, what are we going to divide over here on this side?
32 divided by 4.
Right, we're going to do 32 divided by 4. So Riley, what's 40 divided by 4?
10.
10. And if you remember from our math accelerator video, you could, cross out the 0 and add it to your answer, and then you'd be left with 4 divided by 4. All right, and Riley, what's 32 divided by 4?
8.
8. So then to find the whole long side of our rectangle, what are we doing with these 2 numbers, Riley?
Adding them.
We're going to add them together. What's 10 plus 8?
18.
So did we figure out the same on both with the area model and with the number bond? Yeah, we got the same answer, 18. All right.
Okay, so let's stop for a minute. So what do you guys see? Let's look at these two methods. What do you think is going to be important, or what do you think is going to be beneficial for having these methods? So start with the area model. Or is there something that's confusing you? These are just two more ways instead of doing partial quotients or long division. You could take the area model, and you have to be able to separate the dividend into two pieces that you're going to be able to divide by. So if we look at that very first one, why couldn't I break up my 18, or let me think.
Or do you mean 72, Mrs. Shevchuk?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Why couldn't I have put 71 in one box and 1 in the other? Finn?
Because you can't divide 71 by 4 or 1 by 4.
Right, so you can't just pick any numbers that when you put them together, you'll get the total area. So you do have to, and if you need to use a calculator to help, but that's why, being able to have your facts a little more fluent is going to help you here. What about the number bonds? Is there anything that's confusing you there? Like the area model, it's fine. It's not, to me, sometimes I get confused because I'm so used to using it for multiplication. It's hard for me to turn my brain to division. But this number bond's pretty neat because I like that you start at the top and then you're working your way down. Any questions about the number bond? You can unmute yourself because I can only see about 6 of you at a time across the top. All right, Miss Gavin, I guess they must be good. So let's go ahead and move on.
All right, our next must-do problem is number 3, so it's on the next page. Need to turn to page 101. All right, so we're going to solve 64 divided by 4. So we're going to use an area model. We're also going to draw a number bond. And they want us to represent the division with a written method. So we're going to write it out too. So first, let's do our area model. So we need to draw a rectangle. All right, so Colin, when we're thinking about, but we know the total area of our rectangle is what, Colin?
64.
64. So we need to break it into two parts. Remember, we need to think of when we break it up, we want our numbers to be able to be divided by what for this problem?
4.
Right. So how can we break up 64 to make it easier for us to divide by 4?
32 and 32.
Yeah, I think 32 and 32 works, right, Mr. Shevchik?
So, Colin, that was you, right? What times 4 gives you 32?
8.
All right, let's see. Let's try to work that one out. So we know your total area has to be 64. So the first thing that we want to check is to make sure 32 plus 32 equals 64. So if you have your calculator handy, type it in and just confirm that. Double check that works. So now we're going to take both of these, and our divisor doesn't change. So how do we label the width?
Now, what are we going to label the width of our rectangle?
I have the answer.
4.
4. Perfect. All right, so we have our area model kind of set up. Now we need to work on our number bond. Tanya, what number are we starting with in our number bond? What number are we going to break apart into 2?
64.
Right, 64. And what did we decide to partition or split 64 into?
32 and 32.
Right, 32 and 32.
I thought that's the I'd call him shit.
All right, so we set up our picture with our area model and we set up our number bond. So we need to figure out the side length of this rectangle and the side length of this rectangle.
Great.
So Tanya, what operation am I going to use to figure out the side lengths of my rectangles?
So Tanya, almost think of it, you know, like our multiplication charts at school when we go like this with your finger down and over. So you have to think up top, Miss Gibbing, can you put a little question mark in between your little like bracket thing? So if we go, Tanya, question mark times 4 equals 32. What can we replace that question mark with?
8.
All right, let's go ahead and put it in there. Riley, can you confirm what's 8 times 4?
32.
All right, it looks like it works. So do we even need to work out the other one since it's the same number? Tanya, will that one change? 4 times what gives you 32 for the second square
4
rectangle?
times 8.
Good. So before you move on, now let's just go ahead and do this. So I have my rectangle drawn with a 4 as my length, as my width. Izzy, what's the length of your rectangle in number 3?
16.
Okay, so how'd you get 16, Izzy?
Because 8 plus 8 equals 16.
Okay, so now someone that has a calculator handy, I want you to put in your calculator 16 times 4 and unmute yourself and tell me what you get.
64.
Oh, I heard a lot of 64s. So I redrew my rectangle using our multiplication model, area equals length times width, and you see we have the same thing as what you have in your journal, only you've broken it down and you use division. So I was just doing the opposite. I went back to our old-fashioned, our multiplication method to show you exactly what you're doing, but you're just taking it into smaller pieces because even though I love math facts, 64 divided by 4 is not an automatic one for me. So this is showing you how you can break it down into smaller pieces.
So with our number bond, we split it up into 32 and 32. So what division problems did we do to figure out our side lengths up here? Maria, what division problem did we do to find out our side lengths?
We did four,
So look at your rectangles, Maria, in your area model. What did we do to get 32?
we did 64 divided by 4.
But you're right. But look, you broke 64 into those 32s. Now I want you to focus on one rectangle. So Miss Gibbing, kind of just like, can you go over it like this? Just look at one rectangle. Maria, how did we get using those numbers and using what you know about area? What's the formula for area?
Multiplication.
Right. What are you multiplying though? L times W is what?
A area.
You're right, honey. But how do you find the area equals what times what? Use the
times
word.
W. Oh, length times width.
Okay, so now look at your length and look at your width. That's how you're getting the 32. So
8
what?
times 4.
Very good. So now you're going to take that 32 in your number bond. You're going to give it some 2 legs or 1 leg. We do 1 or 2, Miss Gabine, I forget.
Here, I'm pretty sure we're supposed to do it like with division since we didn't know the sides on the top.
So you're just going to rewrite the equation using division. Do you just put it in one bubble? Or you just go right to the equation here?
They just they wrote them in parentheses.
Okay. So now you're going to use some parentheses instead of your circles. And Colin made it pretty easy for us picking those numbers because now we just have to figure out 1 and we repeat it.
Mm-hmm. So when we're trying to find our area, we do our length times our width. But before, when we started, we didn't know what our length was. This was like a question mark. We didn't know. When we don't know one of the sides of our rectangle, we can do the opposite of multiplication, and that's division. So we could start with our area and divide by the side of the rectangle that we know to find out the side that we don't know. So in this case, we were doing 32 divided by 4. So what's 32 divided by 4, Maria?
8.
8. Since we have it twice, we know 32 divided by 4 over here is also 8. And then what am I going to do to find out the whole side length of the rectangle if I have 8 and 8? Here, Maria, what are we going to do to find out this whole side if we know this part is 8 and this part is 8?
You want the total.
Okay. Wait.
So look at the picture. You know, opposite sides are equal. Figure out
8.
Okay, so look at the top of the rectangle. What do you see on the very top? What numbers?
Oh, and 8 plus 8 equals 16.
There you go.
Now we know the whole side is 16. All right. And then for our written method, we can use long division. Now, let's see. So Tessa, if I'm setting up my bracket for long division, what number is going to go inside of my bracket if we're doing 64 divided by 4?
64.
64. Our dividend always goes inside of our bracket. All right, so let's see if we remember how to do the long division.
Noah, you're not, why are your eyes not on the screen? You need to remove yourself from the video game room and go somewhere where there's no one else around. Thank you. No, that's not, I need you to go somewhere else in your house where you're not going to be watching whatever you're watching, your brother playing or your TV. Find somewhere that you can focus. Where's your workbook? We're 30 minutes into the lesson. Where's your workbook? Where is your workbook? Like, this is school. This is as closest to school as we can get without being in the building. So there's no reason why you shouldn't have your book right here, your pencil right here, and you're working. Because then when you have to do this on your own, you're not going to have any idea what to do because you have not been following along at all. And this is brand new information.
He's talking to someone else.
Where's your workbook?
Noah.
Do you have it? We have no volume. Okay, Miss Gabine, go ahead. And I can't get anything from him, so sorry for interrupting.
All right. Yeah. All right, Tessa. So we set up our bracket. So let's see if we remember how to do our long division. So remember when we do our long division, we kind of focus on one number at a time. So we're doing 6 divided by 4 first. So what do I need to think when I'm doing 6 divided by 4, Tessa?
Like what can get us closest, like without a remainder, right?
Or so we're doing 6 divided by 4, we're thinking 4 times what gives us, what are we trying to get close to?
Oh, 6.
Right. So we're thinking 4 times what will get us close to 6, and like you said, without going over. So what are you thinking, Tessa? 4 times what?
4 times 1, because 4 times 2 is 8.
Right. So we divided, next we multiply. So we're going to do, what are we going to multiply, Tessa?
The 4 times the 1.
Right. That is
4.
4. And then what's my next step?
Do 6 minus 4.
Which
And that's
is
2.
2. So what do I need to do next, Tessa?
Bring down the 4.
Right, we need to bring down our 4 from our ones place. And now we have 24 divided by 4. So Tessa, what am I thinking when I'm doing 24 divided by 4?
Like what can get us closest without going over?
Right, so 4 times what will get us as close to 24 without going over? And what is that, Tessa?
6.
Because what's 6 times 4?
24.
And then what do we do after we multiplied?
24 minus 24.
Which leaves us with
0.
0. So our final answer is 16. So if we look at our area model, our number bond, and our long division, we were able to arrive at the same answer of 16 for 64 divided by 4. So I think it's kind of neat how you can do it with an area model. You can use your number bonds, or you can use your traditional method of dividing, long division. You could probably even use partial quotients to figure it out too. Sarah, do you have a question? Go ahead.
Can you please pause at this point because my screen wasn't completely black since when we finished the area model.
Okay, so you need to copy this down. All right, go ahead.
Thanks.
Okay, so while Sarah's copying that down, I have an idea for number 4. Why don't we, Miss Gabine, get into some breakout groups? And let's you can either, you and your partner can choose if you want to solve 92 divided by 2 using the area model or the number bond. You can't use long division and you can't use partial quotients, okay? So look at number 4. You don't have to use the area model. You can use either the area model or number bond. You and your partner or your small group, if there's 3 of you, can decide which method you want to do, okay? Do you understand your directions? Now, when we come back to the whole group, Tyler, are you there? I can't see you. Your numbers, leave your camera on. Your numbers might be different, but we want to see if we're all getting the same answer, okay? Okay, Miss Gabine, can you make the breakout groups like 2 to 3 people per group?
All right, are we good to open them?
Yeah, you can go ahead. And then Sarah, if you need anything else, honey, we'll have this posted so you can just get caught up.
All right.
You there, Sophia? Okay, Bradley, you're gonna have to unmute yourself. It's just the 3 of us. Bradley, unmute yourself. Okay, so I don't know what happened to Sophia, but we need to choose. Which method do you want to use, the number bond or the area?
I'll call you if I get anything else.
Number con.
I don't think I.
Which one?
Number
Okay, no,
con.
you said
Number bond?
this weekend you don't need me for the girls.
Okay,
right?
so you're gonna draw a circle at the top. And what's gonna go in your circle at the top?
No, next weekend.
92.
Okay, so it should
Okay.
look like this. Okay, now we have to break up 92 into 2 numbers okay, so we have to break up 92
So
somehow.
you need me to
Those
watch the
2
girls.
numbers we put,
You need me
in
to watch
the
Angie the
circles,
weekend, the 5th and
they
6th.
have to be able to be divided by what? Sophia, is your microphone working, honey?
Yeah, sorry, it's my thing that my internet's just really bad and I didn't hear one
Okay,
guy.
Riley, honey, if the people in your house are distracting you, do you have somewhere else where you can go? Because you have to unmute yourself and work with us. This is your time to practice. Okay, so Riley decided, Sophia, that she wanted to do the number bonds. So we put 92 at the top. And so since our problem is 92 divided by 4, we have to break up 92 into 2 numbers, 2 smaller numbers. But both of these have to be able to be divided by 4. So how do we want to break up 92? This is where the calculator is going to come into handy. We need 2 numbers. So let's think. I know. Think of some numbers that 4 times, like 4 times 6 equals what?
24.
Okay, so if we take 24 from 92, that gives us 68. I don't know 4 times anything give us 68. Let's try what's 4 times 9?
4 times 9 is 36.
Okay, so 92 minus 36 equals 56. All right, let's go. What about 4 times? Oh, I know. could we think 4 times 10 is what?
40.
Okay, so what would 4 times 20 be?
Oh, wait, isn't that 6? No, 80.
Okay, so could we break this up into 80? If I put 80 in one bubble, what has to go in the other?
12.
So Briley, why do we put 80 and 12 here?
Because if you separate,
What do these two numbers have to add up to?
92,
Okay, what's 80 plus 12?
92.
Okay, so now we're going to take these and we're going to make two number sentences. Can you guys see okay if I just go like this? Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to take this and in parentheses, we're going to do 80 divided by what?
4.
Mm-hmm.
12 divided by 4.
And then what's going to go on the other side?
12 divided by 4.
Yep. Okay, now I'm going to show you an easy way to do this big one. So this is kind of what they showed in the video yesterday. So watch this. I'm taking 1 0 away. I'm putting it in my answer. What's 8 divided by 2?
4.
I'm sorry. What's 8 divided by 4?
2.
So 80 divided by 4 is what?
20.
20.
Okay, now what are we going to do over here? 12 divided by 4 is what?
3. Yeah, 3.
So then we're going to add these parts together. What's 20 plus 3?
23.
Okay, now I want you guys to, since we have some time, I want you to solve this using whichever one you like better, either long division or partial quotients. Do 92 divided by 4 and see what you get. See if your answer matches what we got.
I'm going to mute because there's a lot of, there's my brother and sister on it.
Even though that thing came up, it's okay. Keep working. See if you can get an answer.
I got an answer and
What'd you get, honey?
23.
Riley, did you get an answer yet?
All right, Mrs. Shevchuk, did you get my message? I just sent you a text message.
Oh, yeah, sure. All right. Okay, so this is where it kind of gets interesting. So as you worked with your partner, did anyone get stuck? Sometimes it seems like it's easy when you do it with me or with Mrs. Gabine, and then when you try to do it on your own, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin. So did anyone get stuck with their group? A couple of us. Were you able to work through it? Or are you still stuck? So Carissa, what method who was in your group?
Brian and Sarah.
What method did you guys choose to try?
Area model.
Okay, what did you break your rectangle up into?
$20.
Well, the number's 92, so you can't just break it up into 20. Leave yourself unmuted because it just takes more time to keep unmuting yourself. So when you made your rectangle, the inside has to equal what?
92.
Right, so you can't just have 20. You have to have it broken up into segments. Okay, boys and girls, the jumping around, the playing with the hands, all that's doing is distracting people, okay? So we're going to try to work through this, and you have to be patient, just like when we're in school and someone has a question. So Sarah, when you guys broke up your rectangle, you had a group of 20, and then what else did you have to make up 92? Carissa, Sarah, Brian, anyone?
Nobody really participated like really in a group except for when Brian asked what method to use.
Okay. My group decided to use a number bond. Did anyone else use a number bond? Oh, lots of hands. Okay, so I have mine right here. Let's have Maria. What did your group break your number bond? What did you break 92 into?
12 and 80.
Okay, anyone? Oh, that's what we did too. Neat. Colin, what did your group break yours into?
48 and 44.
48 and 44. Anyone else use a number bond? So boys and girls, just like a number bond, the rectangle in the area model, you could have 80 and 12 in your rectangle. It's your area. You could have, Colin, what was yours?
44 and 48.
44 and 48. Anyone else have other areas that you add up together to equal 92? Okay, so when we did it, we took 92 and we kept thinking of 4 facts, and we didn't want to do anything too small because then that would make the other number bigger than what we could handle. But we chose 80 because it's easy for us to work with multiples of 10. So we took our 80 and 12. These two numbers, whether they're in your number bond or they're in the middle of your rectangle, need to add up to what altogether? Finn?
92.
92. So Carissa, Sarah, Brian, if you didn't have anything down, you should be doing it now with us. So now that we have these two, and I know 80 plus 12 does equal 92, I can move on to my next step. So Trace, after I have my two numbers here, what am I going to do with this first 80? What do I do, whether it's in the number bond or if it's inside one of your rectangles? What am I going to do with the 80?
Divide it by 4.
Why are we dividing by 4? You're correct, but why do you know that we're dividing by 4? Where did you get the number 4 from?
From this side.
Right, it's your divisor. So we're dividing 80 by 4, and what are we doing with this 12?
12 divided by 4 as well.
Right, we do both of them by 4. Okay, Bella Watkins, I did 80 divided by 4. And for those of you up here who had trouble with the first video yesterday, I'm going to show you a quick version of what they were teaching you. Just like with multiplication, Bella, I have 80 divided by 4. I take off my 0. I put it in my answer. What's 8 divided by 4? So think 4 times what equals 8? Bella.
4 times 2 equals 8.
So 80 divided by 4 equals what?
2.
No. 80, not 8.
20.
20. That's why I took off my 0. Then when I go over here, Bella, what's 12 divided by 4?
3.
Okay, so Tanya, once I have my piece of 20 and my other piece, 3, what do I do with those two numbers?
You add them.
So my final answer is what?
23.
23. Very good. Okay, so now let's go to number 5. I want you to circle number 5 in your book. So before you move on to your extra math for today, and if you didn't do your sprint yet, you have that also. You're doing number 5 by yourself, and you can choose either the number bond model or the area model. And then tomorrow we're starting with number 5. Everyone understand? So we're just going to see if you can choose a method. And I'll challenge you. If you did number bonds already, try to do one with the area model. If you did the area model already, try to do one with number bonds. It's basically the same thing. You're just organizing it into different ways. Tanya, Tyler, are you guys listening? All I see is hands flailing, hair being done, legs being flown everywhere. Tyler, I'm so tired of asking you to sit up. It's actually giving me a bellyache. So Hayden Garland, what's the first thing you're doing for math when you get off the Zoom?
Map accelerator.
Nope. Just gave the directions. What's the first thing you need to do?
Extra math.
Nope.
The lesson 5 thing in your homework.
Just number 5, not a whole lesson. You should have circled number 5 on page 101. You're doing that first. And then Hayden, you still have from yesterday, I don't know if you took the day off or what, you still have both of your Map Accelerator videos and lessons. Olivia, I still need one from you. Tyler, I need both of yours. Noah, you still owe me both of yours. Orlando, you owe me both and a multiplication quiz. Bella Watkins, you owe me both and a multiplication quiz. So some of you guys have more than one day's worth of work to do today. We must, I don't know, yesterday wasn't a day off. Still a school day. Okay, do you have any questions? Okay, if you get confused, where can you go back and relearn or rewatch? What do we have that can help you? Colin?
The